Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, for our Friday Royal Review, we are actually going to be reviewing 2 new promos for upcoming interviews with Prince Harry as he gives us a briefing or some sort of semblance of what's going on in Spare. Spare will be released next Tuesday, January 10th, and I already have my hard copy on the way, and I already pre-ordered the iBook version. So I have 2 versions coming, but I just wanted a hard copy because there's nothing like turning a good page. It just makes the book and story better. I don't know what it is. I'm an 80s baby, so chalk it up to that. But I'm excited for Spare, but let's get into these promos. First, we have the 60 Minutes promo. It's the latest one that came out with Anderson Cooper. And then we have a Good Morning America promo with Michael Strahan. After we get through with the work part of this, we're gonna get into some more excerpts that came out from Spare, and we're gonna have a good old time. So let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you have not already, feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. I want to say a big hello to all of my members, the Patreon members and the friend circle, and I'm going to curtsy to the royal court. Thank you so much for all that you do. Now, today I am sporting a very high ponytail, and I feel like there is power in this ponytail. But let me tell you this. Harry, if somebody else put their hands on you, call me. And if I'm wearing a ponytail, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I woke up with so much on my mind again.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things. I just wish things would get better.
Because right before bed, another excerpt from Spare came out. And I could not go to sleep because I was reading y'all's tweets. Harry said he gonna burn it all down, is he not? Now listen. I cut up. I have a good time, but I am very open to Harry sharing whatever he wants to share, because people seem to have an issue with him speaking out. I don't. I fully support it. Not just because, you know, I love celebrity mess, not just because I love getting into the details and I love having the tea, not just because of those things, although those are very much true. But because it recently dawned on me that when I've been reporting on all of this, I've been saying, you know, the whole time he and Meghan have been silenced, and that is true. But before Meghan, Harry was never allowed to have a voice even then. He's never been able to just outright say the things that he wanted to say because he's always been silenced by the monarchy. It was an adjustment for Meghan, who was used to using her voice. But that was just life for Harry. So what we're seeing is not 5 years of purging. We're seeing 30 plus years of purging, of just getting an opportunity to be honest. And when I tell you, when you have been keeping secrets, or especially when they're not your own, that is a mental prison. And what we are seeing is a man who has been emotionally emancipated, and I am here for it. I am not about silencing people. I am here for people being able to own and tell their truth. And so I applaud Harry. Now, what I recommend, if you are going to read Spare or watch my Little Musty channel, then what I recommend is that you open your mind to accept that I don't personally have to have an opinion about what he shares. I can just look at it as a man who has the opportunity to share what he has not been allowed to share, which is his own experience. Everyone is entitled to that, and he hasn't been. So let's just applaud him being able to use his voice. We don't have to judge and come to the table with our own hypothetical mindset of, if it were me, I would have said, if it were me, I would have told him. You don't know what you would have done because you've never been royal and you've never been in Harry's shoes. So instead of refuting what he says and deflecting from his truth with your hypothetical takes, I recommend being quiet, supporting someone who has recently been emancipated, and allowing that man to share whatever he wants to share. We don't have to like it. Once we get all the details, we can literally just sit by and accept that information as it comes. And once we have it, we can decide what we want to do with it. But at no point is it ever our option to silence someone. especially someone we don't personally know. That's not our business. If he want to share, he can share. And if you don't want to hear it, don't buy the book. And certainly don't come over here to my channel because we're going to be talking about it. So you're going to make yourself miserable being over here. If you are a troll, you are wasting your own time. So good luck. But over here on my channel, we are looking forward to what Harry has to say. And last night, another excerpt came out, and it just reminded me of why this autobiography is making such waves. Yes, we're interested in the royal family. Yes, we are very interested in Harry and Meghan. But follow me here. Isn't it nice to have a return to honest biographies and autobiographies? Here in recent years, in the last decade or so, it's just felt like biographies and autobiographies were fluff pieces intended to get people to revitalize their careers again. It's kind of like a Versus, but in writing form, where people get to share like their works again and get people to fall back in love with their movies or their books or their music. And what happens right after the biography or the autobiography comes out, the celebrity goes on a press run, renews interest, people go back and visit their works, they get some more streams, they get more purchases, they get money again, and it's like a nice boost to their career. But at no point is it ever just blatantly honest. It's kind of like a celebrity trying to direct their own biographical film. Doesn't really work because you're not going to get the nitty-gritty honesty. I tell you whose biography or autobiography I'm really looking forward to is Quincy Jones. He has documentaries out that I've watched. I love Quincy Jones. But if y'all remember, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he lit up the world with all of his revelations that he just was like, you know what? I'm on my second glass. Let me share something. And he just started telling all the business. But it was not just his business. It was everybody else's. And I personally feel like he may have made a call to Prince Harry and say, hey, tell it all. Now, that's my own personal theory. In no way, shape, or form do I think that's true, but it makes me happy to think about because Quincy Jones was telling it all. When you say scorched earth, that's somebody who was going scorched earth. He told his business, everybody's business, Michael Jackson business, Prince's business, everybody's business. And then his daughters had to take his phone to get him to hush. And I'm still mad at Kadada and Rashida for taking that man's phone. How dare you deny me the opportunity to have a good laugh, because he was telling it all. Now, I still revisit his interview in GQ from time to time and just have a good laugh and go on. So I think that is also part of this extreme interest in this autobiography is celebrities are not honest anymore. And finally, Prince Harry is leading the way back to, if we're going to tell the story, we're going to tell it. We're going to tell the whole story, and I'm totally here for it. So before we get into the latest excerpt from Spare, which we'll get into it, we're going to talk about this latest promo from 60 Minutes. Now, we've already gotten a few promos from 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper, and that's going to be on January 8th. But we got a new recent one. So let's look at that clip, and then we're going to dissect it.
What Meghan had to go through was similar in some part to what Kate and what Camilla went through. Very different circumstances. But then you add in the race element.
Okay, so in this promo, this is the first one where he's mentioned Kate or Camilla. And he only mentions them to kind of compare their entry into the royal family versus Meghan's. He does acknowledge that, yes, they have had a similar entry. And if you remember in the Harry and Meghan docuseries, he did kind of allude to the fact that the royal family saw what happened to the women who married in as a rite of passage in some way. And so there wasn't this just jump to defend the women, because it was almost like they got to hold their own if they're going to be in this world. And they kind of saw it as like, in some way, media boot camp, because you're going to be heavily scrutinized in this family. It's just part of the job. So in some way, he understood why they weren't immediately jumping on the fact that they needed to defend Meghan. But what they did not factor in, and he even acknowledged that in some ways he did too, was the racial aspect, which was 10 times worse on Meghan than it was on Kate and Camilla, because that did not happen to them. And he mentioned that they had a similar passage into the family, but they did not have the same. Now, he meant that as a way to kind of segue into the racial issue and how much harder, but also how different Meghan's plight was than Kate and Camilla's. But her plight was different for a number of reasons. Now, with the media, they were misogynistic with all three ladies, but they were only racist to one. But since we're here, And the media got to have, I don't want to say their fun because I never want to tear down another woman, but the media got to say whatever they wanted to say. So I actually wanted to point out some other differences that I noticed between Kate, Camilla, and Meghan's entry into the royal family. So we're going to start with Camilla. Camilla was a mistress. She was a mistress. She was a side chick for the longest. She was not the wife at first. And that was never Meghan's plight. Meghan was always choice number one. Meghan was always the apple of Harry's eye. From the moment he met her, he saw his list personified. He saw his wife in her. He was in love with her from the very beginning, and he's still in love with her. He put her before everything else, himself, the family, the monarchy, everything, because she was his person. They couldn't have talked Harry out of being married to Meghan, although they did try, and he stood 10 toes down for his wife. While Charles declared his love for Camilla, he still married someone else. Charles abandoned Camilla to do what was best for the monarchy and marry Diana. Here's the thing. You know how people say, you know, when you share your plans, God laughs. And sometimes we can get so hell-bent on having one thing that we miss the blessing that's right in front of us. And that is always how I view Charles's story. He thought he knew best. And in some ways, he ended up getting exactly what he deserved. But he missed out on a blessing, his blessing. Something he was not even prepared for, nor was he grateful for, nor was he deserving of. Sometimes God can bless us in ways that we don't even realize and we don't even deserve, and we will miss the blessing because whatever we have in our eyesight and in our crosshairs just seems like a big deal, that we are missing the thing that's really good for us and really better for us. But sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes when people receive things, they don't have the common sense to accept it. And I also personally feel, now again, he claims he loves Camilla, and that's great. That's great. But what I will say is, sometimes we can think so low of ourselves that we have a hard time accepting when good things happen to us. And so in some ways, when we feel unworthy, we will not let good things into our lives because we don't trust ourselves to have them. I think that might play into the story of Charles and Diana. Now, do I have a reason for feeling that way? No, but I do know Charles suffered from low self-esteem for quite some time. And then we know that Diana was the best thing that was ever going to happen to him. He didn't even deserve to breathe the same air as Diana. She was not only too beautiful for him, she was too smart. She was so eloquent. She was beloved. She was just a gentle soul. She is someone that you are lucky to know, let alone marry, let alone have children with. He did not deserve her. He was blessed in ways that he couldn't even imagine, but because he could not get out of his own way, he missed his blessing. And then he ended up getting exactly what he deserves in Camilla. And so that will always be a misstep for him. Whether he knows it or not, I don't know. But he got exactly what he deserved, although he missed his blessing. He got exactly what he deserved in Camilla. Now, here's the thing. Regardless of what people say of like, oh, well, the queen didn't want him to marry Camilla, blah, blah, blah. That may be. But the fact of the matter is, he still didn't choose her first. He didn't put her first. Kings before him have put their women first, no matter what cost. He didn't put her first. And honestly, I don't even think she wanted to be with him at first. But the pipeline from mistress to queen is not a well-traveled road. And so to see that in my lifetime is quite a hoot. I understand the pushback that she got then, and I understand it now. She was always a different choice, especially when you have the option of someone like Princess Diana. And I would be looking at my king crazy if, like, the choice between Diana and Camilla were put before you and you chose Camilla. I don't know if you can make good decisions. I don't think you have common sense on a number of levels. You reject kindness. You reject a loving person. You reject a giving person. You reject a beautiful person for that person. But again, sometimes people go with the option that reflects who they are inside. And I think that is why they are equally yoked. Now, Camilla was seen as a mistress, salacious, catty. And although the media is harsh, in this case, I don't think they're wrong. Now, Kate, Kate was called Waity Katie. She made all kind of adjustments. She roped her prince. It just seemed like it was like she had him, or her mother and her had him in their crosshairs. They preyed on that man and got him. And again, they got exactly what they deserved in one another. But she was also made fun of for being a commoner and for being a mean girl. And so those are things that, no, I don't know if they're true or not, but there are so many accounts to back that up. But again, she didn't even have as hard a time as Megan, nor did Camilla. Camilla was a mistress. Kate was a mean girl, a commoner, and possibly predatory in some way. And there was Megan, self-made, beautiful, eloquent, intelligent, educated, had her own life, was a great person, an independent philanthropist, worked very hard to improve the world around her, and in all accounts, the most gorgeous person to ever enter the royal family. And they ripped her apart. The racism was a big aspect of it, but then there's also the jealousy factor. And then there's also the how dare you, and who do you think you are, you damn American? How dare you? Who do you think you are, you independent woman with your own money, so we can't play the gold digger aspect? She took all their ammo and they came back with her with everything they had. And I think that's really the case. They couldn't find enough real things to say about her, so they had to make up lies.
I went into this incredibly naive. I had no idea the British press was so bigoted. Hell, I was probably bigoted before the relationship with Meghan.
You think you were bigoted before the relationship with Meghan?
I don't know. Put it this way, I didn't see what I now see.
Harry said he was very naive to the bigotry in the press, and in some ways he may have been bigoted as well. A lot of people had something to say about this, but here's my take on it. When he opened his mind, he opened his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, he did something about what he saw. He acknowledged his limitations. He did what was needed in the moment by protecting his wife. At every stop, every opportunity he could, he protected her. And he did something about what he saw. He didn't turn a blind eye. He didn't just lean into his convenience of just ignoring it. He didn't say, this isn't my problem, so, I mean, if she want to be with me, she gonna have to deal with it. He did something about it. So I'm asking, what do you expect him to do? He can't change what he didn't know, because as soon as he knew it, he did something. If you don't know, you don't know. Now, it's easy to sit on, your pine box or your soapbox and say, well, he should have known. Okay, well, if he didn't know and he's man enough to admit what he didn't know and he's man enough to do something about it, isn't that all we can ask of him? I think it would be far worse for him to pretend that it's not happening, like everyone else likes to do. I think honesty scares people. I think when we see other people hold themselves accountable, it's in some way it makes us insecure because we know there are things in our lives that we are turning a blind eye to. And it triggers us because we don't want to be called to action. And so we find it to be offensive when other people call themselves to action. When you hold yourself accountable, it shines a light on what I'm not doing. And I don't like that. If I never intend to hold myself accountable, then I'm going to be mad at you for putting me in a position to look at myself in a way that I don't want to look at. I don't want to see myself in the mirror. I don't want to see the honesty. I don't want to be honest about it. I want to live in my privilege and have the convenience of turning a blind eye. And you, a prince with all the privileges in the world, are making me feel bad about not taking action. So I think it's a personal issue. I don't think it's anything to really do with Harry. I think it's a personal thing. So next, let's look at this Good Morning America promo.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship. I have felt the presence of my mum more so in the last 2 years than I have in the last 30.
He says he believes that she will be very disappointed and sad, but she would understand that there are things that need to run their course in their relationship for the healing to begin. And that is exactly what I mentioned yesterday is, we can't push things under the rug when we are looking for a solution. So are you looking for a solution or are you looking for quick remediation, or not even remediation? Are you looking for a close to this chapter so we can move on real quick and pretend it never happened? Because that is a very different thing. Remediation requires doing the work. A solution requires doing the work, and healing requires a purging of all those things that caused the problem in the first place. If you are abusing someone, saying sorry doesn't fix the action. Acknowledgement, the repentance, and the changed behavior over time, and consistent changed behavior, are the only things that can really start to heal those relationships. If you are sitting here telling someone, yes, I have abused you. Okay, I'm sorry. Why are you so mad about it? But every 5 weeks we're having the same issue. You aren't learning a thing. You aren't changing, and we can't heal because you continue to scrape off the scab of this wound. Every time you commit to the same malicious or disrespectful or harmful behavior, you're ripping the scab off the wound. And now I'm required to relive my pain, but this time it's worse than the last time because it's in addition to. You're continuing to stack up grievances against me. You're continuing to harm me more and more and more. I can assure you, if I poke you in one spot the first time, it hurts. But if I poke you in that same spot again, it hurts a little more and a little more and a little more. And eventually you now have a hole in that spot. I can't refill that with my apologies. That's exactly what it's like to continue to hurt someone repeatedly, never to acknowledge, never to repent, never to change. And then when you do change, consistently behaving differently. Consistently changing is the issue. Not what you do the one time you make the right choice, but it's making 10 times more correct choices in that same situation to not even undo, but to remediate the situation in the first place. It's almost like I need to see it 10 times more than the actual infraction. You have to acknowledge, repent, change, show consistency. It's the only way to begin to build. There is a long journey ahead when you harm someone. If you, one, want to get them back in your life, two, want to build trust back. Building trust is its own journey. People think that they can hurt you, and just by saying sorry or finding religion or getting sick and facing mortality that they can make things better. No, it doesn't actually solve the problem. It may cause us to have to be in the same atmosphere again or have to speak again, but it doesn't change the level of trust that a person has for you. When you have harmed people, being accountable is the only doorway to a real resolution. And so Harry's right when he says his mother would be really sad about it, but she would acknowledge that there are things that need to happen for healing to begin. Harry has done the work. There's too many things necessary for William and Kate and the family as a whole to do and show before Harry can trust them again. And as someone who knows his mother better than anyone else, I would assume that he made the right call. Now, I thought this was really sweet. He said he feels his mom's present more in the last 2 years than the last 30. I thought that was very important to say because I think this is when he needed her most. And what mother doesn't show up for her baby when he needs her? So now that we have gotten through the promos, another excerpt has dropped from Spare. And when I tell y'all, if you plan to have a life, don't get a Twitter, because I did not go to bed until late because I was reading these tweets. So the excerpt was released to the official Pop Base account on Twitter. Now, I didn't think it was real at first, but it was verified and it was Pop Base, and they did have the excerpt. They're also the first account that I saw talking about the altercation. So, and then I later verified it. So, I mean, it seems like they're in the know. But the excerpt they posted last night was, Prince Harry calls William's hair loss alarming and says that his resemblance to their mother, Princess Diana, has faded with time. I'm going to read the book and figure out if this is a real excerpt. My first thought was to laugh. And then my second thought was, this is probably taken out of context. Hear me out. This may have been posted without any context. And this is potentially him saying something along the lines of, he lost his hair very young due to stress of being the heir. And it was alarming at how rapidly he lost his hair due to this stress. Also, the resemblance he used to have to my mother, I no longer see her in him anymore. And that could have been the context. I don't know, but kind of reading the other excerpts and then this one, I felt like they took the context out so that it would look more salacious than it was. But Twitter had a field day nonetheless. And so I'm going to be reading through some of these tweets. The tweets were very unforgiving, but they were fun. Sasha at Sorta Fierce. Oh, I like that name. Oh, I'm sure you're very fierce. They said, he's really going scorched earth. Oh my God. Sibling petty is truly just so different. Harry was like, quote, he's racist, he's awful, and most importantly, he's bald. This can't be real. Alarming? He is sick for that. My F word. He is cooking him. You can't read a younger sibling because they've been observing you their whole life. Now, you have lived a life where they didn't exist. They have never lived a life where you didn't exist. And so they've been focusing on you for a long time. They know every single thing that you don't. They know things about you that you didn't even realize. They will cook you to death. Younger siblings have big energy. Let me tell you. This is so unnecessary. How are you going to chat about your brother's balding in your autobiography? Mans really declared all-out war when they cut his allowance off. Harry was like, if I can't get bread from you, I'll make bread off of you. Moon, roof, head, having ass, N-word. Buy my memoir. You could have just spit on him like, buddy. He said, quote, damn, bro, you got ugly. This is very funny because if I got given a memoir, I would also call my siblings ugly and bald. Oh, he is eating this MFer up. Where's my card? Book sold. I know that's right, Betty. Arming is absolutely sending me. He said your ugly bald head ASS looks like our BA daddy. Oh, why Charles catch a stray? Harry coming for the throat like if either of my siblings terrorized me like that, I'd actually declare full-scale war. It was like, he called him a bald-headed, ugly B-word, essentially. Not essentially! When I fight with my 9-year-old sister. A Virgo will bite their tongue forever and then one day present all their grievances in chronological chapter form. As a Virgo, yes. But Harry, no, he wrong for that. If it is not in the context that I actually think it's in, I want to see what the hell he said for real. Because if he said it in the context that it's written, which I don't think, but if he did, he is more savage than I have given him credit for. And my Virgo brother, I am proud of you. Read, honey, read. He's been in America a little too long. Megan taught him how to read people down. I'm loving it. What are you going to do about it? That was a good time had by all on the internet last night. Every single excerpt that comes out, I am more and more pleased. I cannot wait to read this book. Again, if you are not interested in hearing his true story, don't read it. And don't come over here bothering us. We having a good time. I hate what they've done to him, but I'm so glad he is feeling the freedom to share his story. And that's really what it's all about. Now, I'm going to get my laughs and my little kikis here and there. But overall, I really am happy that he's able to share his story because I can't imagine what that man has been through. We see somebody who has money and we really don't give them any room to be human a lot of times. And it's good to see that, you know, people are receiving this the way that they're receiving this and they are operating with care with Harry because of what he's been through. And we're acknowledging the grievance and the trauma that he's been through. So overall, I'm really glad about the reception that he's getting, and I'm glad that he has the support system that he has in the Sussex squad. He's in good hands. He's gonna be just fine, especially with you guys' support. So that's fantastic. The interview schedule coming up for the promos. Now I have a VPN. But if you have a VPN, you can see ITV if you're in America. And if you have a VPN and you're in the UK, you can see 60 Minutes and Good Morning America. You can probably also watch it online. I know you can watch it on Hulu, I think. I will be watching all three. I will be recapping each meeting or each interview individually here on my channel. So if you don't get to watch it, you can watch my recap. And if you have a VPN, I have a VPN, but if you're gonna get one, try to find a YouTuber or someone who has a promo code so you don't have to pay for like the first month or so. I don't have a promo code. They don't advertise through me. But I paid for mine outright and I wish I had gotten a promo code. It was only like $14, so it wasn't like a big deal. But yeah, I watch all the UK stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have not already, feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. It has been so great gaining all these new followers and subscribers and members. It's been awesome, and communing with you guys has been great. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you're interested in becoming a member, go ahead and hit that join button. This weekend, my first Patreon only video for the year comes out, as well as my first YouTube members only video for the year comes out. So I hope you guys love those. And my podcast, Sweet Discernment, has a new episode coming out on Saturday. So Saturday is going to be a big day. We got a YouTube members only video, a Patreon members only video, and a podcast episode coming out. And so we're starting the year off right. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.